Are you listening?
Welcome to another episode of the Nerf Report. My name is Bryant Chappelle, and on this week's episode, Final Fantasy VII The Remake has gamers running to Pornhub, experts begin to predict next-generation shortages, WWE 2K21 might be canceled, and PlayStation wants to make robots your best friend. But before we jump into any of that, your top headlines. First up, Final Fantasy VII Remake. As it stands right now, this game is my game of the year. And seeing that every other game this year is getting delayed right now, congratulations, Final Fantasy VII The Remake! You are our official 2020 Game of the Year. And after playing this game to completion, I'm starting to believe that Final Fantasy VII is less of a remake and more like an episode of The Bachelor. I mean, throughout the entire game, Cloud has tons of men and women just tossing themselves at him. I mean, for example, you have Jessie, the failed actress, Tifa, the badass childhood friend, Aerith, the girl who really likes flowers, Madam M owns a massage parlor and is kind of shady, Andrea Rodea is a great dancer and really likes bees, and Don Corneo is the guy that no one likes, but the producers insisted on having him because of ratings. But for many gamers, the choice of who should Cloud choose comes down to two people, Aerith or Tifa, which is still a really difficult choice. However, luckily for us, the age-old question has finally been answered by Pornhub. As Pornhub Insights reports this week that Tifa is the third and fourth most searched Final Fantasy term on the website, whereas Aerith came in fifth place. Pornhub also reported that they saw an increase in Final Fantasy search requests after the game's launch, with the search results peaking at a 7,631% increase over normal requests. But that's not all. 58% of those searches were done by male users, and PlayStation 4 owners are 189% more likely to search Final Fantasy than Xbox users. Not judging, just sanitize your damn controllers. Next up, let's talk about some wrestling. WWE 2K. I mean, let's be honest, the 2K series has ended worse than the highly anticipated debut of the Shockmaster. And for you non-wrestling fans out here, it kind of sucked. In fact, WWE 2K20 bombed masterfully and was one of the biggest stories of 2019. So, WWE 2K21 in many ways was going to be the big redemption arc at WrestleMania everyone was looking for. However, it was reported this week that WWE 2K21 has been canceled. Justin Leeper, who previously worked as a writer on the WWE video games, reported this week that 2K is canceling WWE 2K21. However, the company does have plans for an alternative WWE game to be released this year. To feed into this confirmation, WWE and 2K usually announce the next game at WrestleMania, and even though this year's WrestleMania was different, there was no announcement. So here's to hoping that the new alternative game is a remake to WWF No Mercy, because that was an awesome game. Also this week, Google Stadia. Last week, the cloud-based game streaming service went free to play. And this week, we got new information surrounding quality of life improvements for the platform. First up, Stadia announced that 5.1 surround sound is available with games on the web. A new on-screen keyboard will appear when you have a controller connected to Stadia, and gamers will now be able to see their connection quality notifications while playing games on mobile devices. But despite all of these new updates, Stadia also has more features on the way. In fact, following the latest Stadia Android app update, a Stadia TV app was discovered for Android televisions by 9to5 Google. This update, of course, coincides with Google's plans for Stadia's eventual integration into all Android TV devices. And finally, for this week's top headlines, the PlayStation 5. If you're like me, you've been spending the last 2 weeks of quarantine writing Santa as many letters as possible, begging for one of those PlayStation next generation consoles. However, after the news that dropped this week, I'm gonna have to write way more letters. As it was reported by Bloomberg News that PlayStation will be producing far less consoles than in previous generations. According to Bloomberg, the Tokyo-based tech giant is limiting its initial production run, in part because it expects the PlayStation 5's ambitious specs to weigh on demand by leading to a high price at launch. The global COVID-19 pandemic has affected Sony's promotional plans for the new device, but not its production capacity. The company has told assembly partners it would make 5 to 6 million units of the PlayStation 5 in the fiscal year ending March 2021. Which means, despite the current social distancing guidelines, gamers may have to go back to camping out if they want a PlayStation 5. So, if that's the case, you'll excuse me because I'm gonna go ahead and get a head start on camping.
Now for something completely different. Yeah.
And for this week's top story, PlayStation. This week, PlayStation filed new patents, and I already hear what you're saying.
Ugh, not another patent story. Just because someone files a new patent doesn't mean it's going to be a real patent.
However, this patent is designed to help the loneliest of gamers out there and bring robotic friendship to everyone.
I'm listening.
The patents in question are for a feeling deduction unit that can deduce a user's feeling while they are playing games. The robot would be able to mimic emotions like joy, anger, love, and surprise, along with potentially having the ability to play video games with the human. The patent states that the autonomous robot would be able to move its arms and limbs and speak to gamers. Sony hopes that the robot could also influence gamers on what games they should be playing, by either being interested when you play new games or starting to get bored if you're playing the same game for too long. And if you're not sold on PlayStation's dystopian future, prepare yourself. The robot also has a love index that is directly affected by the user's actions. According to the patent, a name of the robot is assumed Hikomen in the following description. When the robot speaks to the user, if the user responds Hikomen, that's exactly what you say. The feeling deduction unit deduces that the evaluation value of the user's love index is positive. Whereas if the user responds Hikomen, you're noisy, be quiet, the feeling deduction unit deduces that the evaluation value of the user's love index is negative. Also, when the robot speaks to the user as please charge me soon, if the user charges the robot immediately, the feeling deduction unit deduces the evaluation value of the user's love index as positive. Whereas if the user does not charge immediately, the feeling deduction unit deduces that the evaluation value of the user's love index is negative. Which, if you're like me, you can take this one of two ways. Number one, you can be completely depressed knowing that somewhere PlayStation has a robot like shackled up in their warehouse who can understand love and is all like,
Marks, Ernie, why won't you love me? Charge me, Shuhei, please charge me.
And the second way I take this is like, wow, this is really cool. But also like low-key how like 90% of killer robot movies start. 2001 Space Odyssey, Terminator, iRobot, Ex Machina, and this summer, PlayStation.
What is that?
This is Hikomen. It's PlayStation's new state-of-the-art robot. It makes gaming more interactive, and you can even play video games with it.
That thing is horrendous. I don't want to see it. Please put it away. It's Hikuman. He has to go. He's so creepy, babe.
You've never liked Hikuman since I got him. Why can't you just be happy for me for once in your life? I have something that brings me joy. Why can't you be happy for me?
I don't feel safe in my own home. It's either Hikuman or me. You're gonna have to make that choice. I'm over this. That thing is horrendous. He's so creepy, babe. It's either Hikuman or me. It's up to you. It's up to you.
Hikuman! Stop! You're supposed to be my friend! Hikuman! And finally for this week, we come to that noise, of course, signifies that we are running out of time and coming close to the end of the show. So, in order to cover all the week's remaining news, we must initiate a segment that I like to call... Every single week, we have so much news to talk about and so little time to do it. So we take all the week's remaining news, put 60 seconds on the clock, and try to cover it as fast as humanly possible without running out of breath, passing out, or dying! So with that in mind, let's put 60 seconds on the clock. Thunder noise! And... go! Nintendo has announced an open beta for Ninjala, which will be taking place on April 28th. Prepare yourself, 9-year-olds. I'm going to destroy you in this game. Fortnite has unveiled the X-Force bundle, which includes Deathstroke, Psylocke, and Cable skins for Fortnite. Dead by Daylight Mobile has officially launched. We have official confirmation from the developer that Crysis Remastered is happening. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer will be launching on the PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch on May 12th. We have our first look at the next chapter in the Dark Picture anthology with Little Hope. Awesome trailer, can't wait to play that game. Fallout Wastelanders has launched this week, which is the latest update to Fallout 76. Oh no, he said the name. Oh, ratings. Resident Evil 3 has officially sold 2 million copies. Congratulations, Capcom. And finally, in order to keep you all indoors, PlayStation has given out some free games this week. Uncharted, the Nathan Drake Collection, and Journey, which Journey is our game of the week. Check it out. That's it for this week's episode of the Nerf Report. If you like what you saw and you want to see more content just like it, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and please share it with your friends. As always, my name is Bryant Chappelle. You are you, and this has been the Nerf Report. Thanks for watching. Thanks again for checking out the channel. You know, things are constantly changing around here. This week, we have our first intern, made me coffee before the show, found a brand new mic for Nerf'd in 60 seconds, so I can literally say things like, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and like this video. Thanks so much for watching.